Hi. It's been a while since I was able to jump in and talk about specific gene keys and even some human design things. And as I have been evolving over the past few months, I'm feeling very pulled to get back into expressing and sharing what I find through practicing my knowledge in the human design and gene keys area. So I really am excited to discuss the 12th gene key today. And the 12th gene key is about the shadow of vanity, the gift of discrimination, and the Siddhi of purity, right? And this particular key is the key that is in transit at this moment. I actually think we're going to switch to a different key tomorrow, I think. So I really wanted to take the time to bring this out and solicit responses. What comes up for you as we drill down into this 12th gene key? All right. So let's start with the shadow. Now, remember, shadows are not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. They just are. They're part of the process, okay? And there may be times that you move from the shadow to the gift back to the shadow, and it's just human nature, right? And so there's no judgment in this. There is just experiencing, learning, and evolving through the lessons, right? So, vanity, right? When we think about vanity, vanity is really all about loving yourself. It's loving your uniqueness. When we are working so hard to find the power in what makes us the best at something, right? When we find power in becoming the best at whatever that may be, learning what others expect of us and going for that goal with everything we have, right? And taking all of our power and shooting for that, right? It's becoming the best. It's becoming known for something more than someone else in certain terms, okay? And it's taking that information, that drive to become something that other people expect us to become. And it's not even always that we're trying to become something we want to become, right? So it's not even like I'm going to go be the best at something because I want to do that all the time. Sometimes it's we take these expectations that other people have about us and we try to expand upon that, right? Or take that to the next level, exceed those expectations, I think is really what I'm trying to come from. And not really taking the time to figure out, like, what is it I want to become, right? What are my goals and what are my dreams that are within my heart space, right? And vanity has this uncanny ability to keep you from truly loving another person and accepting them for who they are. Because a lot of times where we're in our space, right, and we are striving to be the best at this, whatever it is today, right? And others are falling very short at even catching up to us, right? In our own, well, that's vanity, right? That's the filter that vanity is. And the filter is basically, clouding our vision. It's putting our ego right out there, and it's putting this illusion that we're different from all the other people, right? And sure, our parents raised us, you are unique, you are special. Well, sure, we're all special. There's no doubt about that. I'm not even disagreeing with that, right? But what do you do with that? Right? What are you doing with that knowledge that you're special? Right? So just think about that for a second. Think about, what masks are you wearing? What are you striving for when you put that mask on? And what are your fears when you take it off? Or what are your hopes when you take that mask off? So really take some time to see what comes up for you when you ask yourself that question. And it's so natural for all of us to want to stand out, to be known for something, to be good at something, to have the light shining on us for something spectacular, right? And it's common for us to take the pains and the tribulations of our life and try to use it as a tool to find others to flock to us, because we need our pain and our experiences to be for a reason, right? To stand for something, to have a point. And most of them do, but how are we using that, right? Are we using that through vanity to attract others to us? Or are we using that as a lesson to help other people without expecting something in return, right? Excuse me. So, and there's two different types of vanities, and we may bounce between the different types, right? So and there's two different types of this shadow, should I say? And there's two different types of every shadow. There's the repressive side, and then there's the reactive side to every shadow. And we may find ourselves in either one at any given point in time. And the repressive side of the 12th gene key is the elitist, right? This is what I call the quiet vanity. This is where we may feel that, well, let's just take spirituality, for example, right? Everybody has different levels of spirituality. They have different levels of awareness and consciousness. And it's like where you may think, well, they're nowhere near as aware as I am. Well, who are we to say that? Like, but what does that matter, right? Or, well, they're nowhere near the level of experience that I'm at in this particular arena of spirituality, or the knowledge that I have. And in this particular, repressive side of the shadows, what I'm trying to say, right? These types of people, right, will maybe stay detached. They may not even say this out loud, right? But they're thinking it. They're thinking to themselves that, oh my gosh, this person is XYZ. They're not going to say it out loud, but they're going to make this judgment that this person is not as special as they are, for whatever reason that may be, okay? The reactive side is more malicious. It typically comes from a place of fear and anger sometimes, right? Or let's say it comes from a place of fear, which triggers anger. And this happens when before people even realize they're doing it to others, right? They're in this place of like reaction. So something triggers them, and all of a sudden they have so much emotional power behind what they say to someone else. They know exactly what button to push to almost like transfer this fear and anger onto someone else, because they don't know what to do with it, right? And it takes little effort on their part, but the destruction is of such magnitude, right? And so when we find ourselves in these places, right, it's just a matter of realizing that you're there. It's becoming aware of where you're at in this shadow, so that you can basically turn inwards and figure out where this is coming from. How can I release this so that I can move into the gift of discrimination? And the gift of discrimination is the ability to basically discern what is authentic and what is not authentic, and who is good for us and who is not good for us. And you can take and turn this vanity into a work of art, right? You can achieve your gift of discrimination through play, through making it, not a secret. Like, turn it into something that makes you happy, that sparks a joy into you, right? Maybe you're a painter, or maybe you're a cook. Maybe you put your art into your food. I very much am all about food. So I thoroughly enjoy and find my joy in preparing food for other people. And not because I want my dish to be the best dish, but because I want to pour my heart and soul into something that's going to nourish them in some way. Maybe it will nourish them physically, or maybe it's a dessert, right? That is going to elicit joy and satisfaction from them. Like, that's going to bring them some sense of joy, okay? And those are just some examples that's coming through. But once you reach this gift of discrimination, it's really learning to love all things and love all the people outside of yourself. It doesn't, the comparison of who you are versus who they are really isn't necessary. But this gift of discrimination is going to provide you with the ability to see others as they are. It's going to provide you with the ability to determine the fake agendas, or if a truth is being told to you or not. And I wouldn't say this is a super easy gift, right? Because it's really tuning inward. It's really tuning into the energy of who and what is around you to be able to practice this gift of discrimination. But through this gift, through practicing this gift, you can become a leader for others. You can influence authenticity around you, right? It's almost like the transformation, right, between vanity and discrimination is just another example of the many different transformations that we experience in life. As you operate through this gift, you kind of uncover what your soul is truly yearning for, the truths of who you are and how to exude this authenticity. It's like going for loving others. Okay, so to love others for just their pure existence is where the magic really happens. We are so very different from all the other people around us in so many different ways, right? We are all our part of special, right? And yet we're all of the same existence, okay? So allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to be seen in all the ways, even the things that maybe you think others are going to judge you for. Practicing that self-love is all part of the discrimination. This isn't just discrimination about the others around you, but are you showing up authentically, right? Are you showing up in your authenticity fully? Are you accepting yourself for who you are underneath the masks that you put on every day? So with every shadow, it's not just how you show up in the world to other people, but how are you showing up in the world for yourself, right? Take all the different angles to really uncover where you're at in the process. It's like taking and practicing being open-hearted and practicing forgiveness. Especially, and I'm just going to say it, I try not to talk politics, but politics and the election season is coming on us fast. There are many people who don't share your same values, your same beliefs, your same political views, right? But should that make you write them off? I mean, that's a choice you have to make, but you also need to consider where you're showing up, right? Why do other people have to share your values and your beliefs? Why is it an expectation that other people should be just like you in those areas? Dare I say that's also a part of vanity. And maybe we're all kind of in that boat from time to time. Just think about that, right? Also, when I think about the gift of discrimination, it's like going into the vibration of knowing that you've been everyone before. You've been homeless. You've been the wealthy. You've been the criminal. You've been the savior. You've been the selfless. You've been the selfish. You've been jealous. You've been compassionate. We have been all the things before, right? We've maybe not this lifetime or whatever, but at some point you've been all the things. And this is where, in the gift of discrimination, you've had to really drop your judgments and practice your discernment, right? Judgment and discernment are two totally different things, and they really don't have an arena next to each other. They can't belong together, right? So dropping the judgment of how you think other people should be And yeah, practicing the discernment to know that this person can be who they are, but they need to be who they are away from me. That's discernment. You know that you can't be, maybe around that person or, be within their energy for long periods of time. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we've been all the things. And it's really about like preserving who you are now. And we're always changing, right? I mean, my belief system today is nowhere near the belief system that I grew up with. And so it's honoring who you are now and setting the boundaries that you need to set to continue, right? To evolve into the best version of who you are. As we practice this, we then will, eventually, hopefully, right? We're all shooting for that Siddhic experience. And once you reach the point that being recognized for something doesn't matter to you anymore, when you're at the point of recognizing the divinity of your existence and the existence of all other vibrations, you're on your way to experiencing the Siddhi of purity, which is the Siddhi of this 12th key. Purity, it lives in the heart space. Like true purity is recognizing that we are all of the same existence, right? And it's to see nothing negative. It's to see that things are the way they are. It's to see things for what they are. And it's almost like as soon as you start, let's say, you've reached the Siddhi of purity, right? As soon as you hit that negative, let's say thought, maybe something happens and it's just like it's a reaction, right? It's almost like a habit. But as soon as you hit that like ick factor, right? Something that triggers you into that negative space, you lose the experience of this Siddhi. And to be in this place, there's a lot of work that goes into it, right? And Richard Rudd wrote in his book, the Gene Key book, and I really wanted to share it with everybody. And it was, once you've hit the Siddhi of purity, you're so pure that it is not possible for you to exist as anything other than existence itself. So I really want you to think about that. You are so pure that it is not possible for you to exist as anything other than existence itself. And, the closer we get to evolving out of Earth, right? The closer we get to evolving out of the state that we are in now, that's when we find the Siddhic states, right? We've put all the work into it and we're just evolving. We're evolving constantly. And as we reach these states, we are becoming the best version of ourselves, of the best versions of our souls. We're here living and experiencing everything we intended to come here and live and experience, right? And like I said earlier, it is a constant bouncing kind of back and forth, because as we grow and evolve, new experiences are coming into place. And it's how we respond to these new lessons and these new experiences that really help determine where we're at in the evolution. You may be in the gift side of this particular key or any other key for a very long time. And then all of a sudden something triggers you back down into the shadows. And it's like, whoa, I didn't think that was possible. So here we are. Let's dig back down into this. Let's say, how did I show up for myself in this experience? And how did I show up for other people in this experience? And what can I do to learn through this and move on, right? So I really hope that that this makes sense for you. And it's okay if it doesn't. And you may not have this key in your particular chart, but it is a transit that everyone is following. I did want to also share the card, the Wisdom Keepers deck for the 12th key, and it is discernment, and it's such a beautiful card. And I wanted to also read to you a little bit of the story. So this is from the Wisdom Keepers book, and I love to pull this out sometimes. I want to read about specific keys and the stories within it, but also I'll just draw a random gene key and really hone into that one and say, okay, do some of the work around that. You know, it may be in my chart, it may not be in my chart, but we're all experiencing various keys at any given point. And it says to discriminate is to know inherently what and who is healthy for you in your life. This wisdom story. From birth, I was recognized as an old, wise soul. It pained me to see the brutality and maliciousness of humanity, and it was easy for me to see through the fears and folly of the people around me. Instinctively, I knew there was more to life, so I launched my spiritual search. For years, I studied with wise teachers, watched my thoughts, and mastered my emotions. As I progressed, my mind became clear, my expressions artful, and my communication immaculate. Everyone commented on my impressively calm and agreeable nature. I looked around me and saw people consumed by misguided efforts to look good and appear successful. I watched them blindly, clinging to limited systems and beliefs, and I felt grateful that I was no longer caught up in such a sad, futile game. Until it hit me. Beneath my gratitude was pride, and even deeper than that, a subtle and elitist disdain for those who hadn't achieved the level of spiritual awareness and non-attachment that I had. This very vanity I saw in the world lived within me. With this realization came the next. The more I tried to transcend or reject my own vanity, the more subtly it shape-shifted and held fast to me. Once I befriended my very human need to feel special, I was able to appreciate the tremendous gifts and the essential role it played in our shared creative evolution. I want you to know that vanity is a necessary, beautiful part of being human. Without a love of your uniqueness, how could you possibly unfold your intelligent wings, rejoice in your personal power, or come to know and express your most wonderful qualities? In the end, we will all discover that if we truly love ourselves, we must love everyone, for we are all one. But for now, I invite you to stop obsessing about what you can and should do to get rid of your vanity. Instead, allow yourself to fall in love with your own authenticity and the authenticity in others. Learn to discriminate the real from the fake and who and what is healthy for you. Transform your innate desire to improve yourself into an art form. And speak from the heart, and the rest will take care of itself. So think about some of that, right? What masks are you wearing, right? Where might you be showing up with vanity? And without judgment, dig into that and why that is, okay? What your hopes are when you remove your mask, right? Or what are your hopes when you're putting it on? Why are you putting on that mask? So I implore you to think about some of these things. And when I read this to myself before I read it to you, it was, I can so relate to this, right? I can relate to thinking, oh man, I've kind of stepped up, right? And I'll be in some of these, let's take it to a real world example. You'll be in some of these Facebook groups where you may have been in this group for a year, a few years now, and so you're kind of one of those who are answering the questions other people are asking. And you see some of these questions and you're like, my goodness, how are you still at that level, right? And I see it all the time. People will comment on posts like, I don't understand, like, how you're at this level after this amount of time. Or, you know, like, social media is such a curse and a blessing in different ways. But you know, it's watching people not act through kindness, right? And the thoughts that they're thinking about others, they're putting in writing on threads and sparking these reactions from other people. And it's just be mindful of some of that, right? It's trying to take a step back and go, I was there once. That was me once. What did I need at that time in my growth? How can I help this person lovingly? And maybe it's saying nothing to this person, right? Maybe it's realizing that something they said triggered you and you need to go do some self-work and say nothing to this person. And that's completely okay too. So I hope that this made sense. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I would love to hear from you. You can post below. You can reach out to me personally. And if this particular key is in your chart, I'd love to know where and how it's showing up for you and where you might be in your process. Are you in the shadow? Are you transforming into the gift? I'd love to know. So thank you so much for spending time with me on this particular gene key, and I can't wait to share more with you. Namaste.